I have to.
There you go.
I always like to see that we're live before I start talking, but either way, it ends up weird. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 325. It's the first Hump Day Hangouts in this lovely month of February. It's the 3rd of February, 2021. We got almost the whole crew here today. We're going to roll through, do some introductions, check in with everybody. We've got a couple quick announcements, and then we will get into your questions. So if you're watching live and you got questions, go ahead and put them on there. If you're not watching live, it's too late, but you can always go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions and ask your questions ahead of time. We do first come, first serve. And so we just ask that you try to limit it to one question. If you're live, you can ask more if there's, everyone's had a chance to get through their questions. But again, if you're not able to join us live, we get it. Either you're in a different time zone or you got something going on, just ask your question. You can always check out the replay, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get updates on that, and you will be good to go. All right, so I'll go counterclockwise today. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good here. Super happy to be here. As I said, can't believe first month is over already for this year. So if you haven't started to work on your dreams and goals, it's time to do it now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this month went pretty quick. Marco, how about you? How you doing today? I like the shirt, by the way.
Man, I represent tropics, man. Know what I'm saying?
By the way, you know what yesterday was really in America, right?
It was
Groundhog
Tuesday.
Day.
It was Tuesday in all of America.
It was Groundhog Day.
Central and South.
It really was Groundhog Day yesterday is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we say that every week, but it really was yesterday. So
there you go.
And it Punxsutawney Phil said that we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. So
I'm going to have six more weeks of sun at least.
Yeah. I was about to say maybe 60, 600. I don't know.
It's endless, man. It's endless. There it is. I can't help it. As I said, got to represent tropics. Warm weather is powerful, man. It's being where you want to be rather than where you have to be. And if you're where you have to be right now, but it's going to sound redundant, but you don't have to be where you have to be. You can break out of that rut. It's the POFU path. Join us, POFU Live. Catch the replays from the past, POFU Lives that we've done. Get into the right mindset. Then go chase after. As Chris said, well, not only your dream, but define what your POFU is and get after it, because that's going to give you everything that you need in order to have the lifestyle that you want. So that's my thought for today. Hey, come get some. What can I say?
Marco, you gave me a good reminder. I just put that on the page for anyone. You can check out POFU Live recordings. Just pop the link in there from 2020. Hernan, how you doing today?
Oops, good, man, good. I just wanted to sign a petition to let the Latinos enter sooner to the Zoom room. That would be pretty cool because I'm banging out there at the door and it's raining and it's cold and everything. But I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm really good. Excited to be here. So
outstanding. Bradley, how you doing today?
good, man. Busy as all hell, but the alternative would be not being busy. So I'll take it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, well, we got a couple quick announcements. Marco, I'm going to hand things over to you in a minute. I want you to, if you can, update everyone on how the charity webinars are going and what people can do if they're not quite there yet. But first of all, wanted to say, first, thanks for watching. We realize that there's a lot of people who watch the replays, and, we appreciate you guys watching. If you can come live, it's great. We love interacting with people. And like I said earlier, you can always go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions, and that's where you can join us live or just go ask your questions ahead of time. And if you're new to Semantic Mastery, MGYB, Heavy Hitters Club, and you want to find out how to shield your site and never worry about algorithm updates, or maybe you just want to figure out what this SEO Shield thing is that you keep hearing us talk about, along with a lot of other things, head over to the SEO Shield, right? The word the SEOshield.com. And that is free training you can get, and you'll find out all about the SEO Shield and a whole lot more. All right. Beyond that, you can get our step-by-step processes for getting results with SEO with the battle plan. Find out about that at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. And for those of you who are either agency owners, or maybe you're a consultant, you're kind of starting out, you're wondering how you can grow, get more clients, scale your team, things like that, highly suggest you go over to 2xyouragency.com. There is some fantastic training that Bradley mostly put together. I know Hernan had some of that as well. But if you're in that area where you want to grow and this is what you're doing, then you definitely want to check out that training. And then if you've got an established business, whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's digital marketing online, then the mastermind is the place for you. And you can find out more about that at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And last but certainly not least, I mentioned MGYB at the beginning, but if you're not familiar, it's mgyb.co. That's where you can get all the done for you services, stuff like syndication networks, the SEO Shield that I was talking about, link building, press releases, and a whole lot more. So go and check that stuff out. So with that out of the way, Marco, I did want to come back to you. Can you give us just an update on the charity webinars? And in case somebody hasn't seen the last few Hump Day Hangouts, kind of what's going on with that and how can they get involved?
I posted in the group chat, right? That chat app, that 1990s chat app. Man, it's fantastic. We had Bradley on the very first one, and he showed how to manipulate entities through ads. People think ads, you just pay Google and that's it. But if you use it in very specific ways, you can really hyper target your people and really get your campaign working for you and working for your brand and using that brand plus keyword association. That's just so important right now. You don't necessarily, the geographical targeting, of course, takes place when you're setting everything up. So it doesn't, your ad won't need to include your geographical area because you've already done your geographical targeting according to their likes and dislikes or their history, what they've been through, right? Google is now giving you people who are hyper focused at whatever it is that you're offering, who have an affinity even for what you're offering. Maybe not directly related, but enough so that the person could be interested in whatever it is that you're doing. It's a fantastic way to relate your brand to the keywords in the niche, especially the top keywords in the niche. Then we had Dixon Jones. For those of you who have been like under a rock for the past 20 something years, Dixon Jones is of Majestic fame. I mean, he was the CEO or the marketing director for Majestic SEO, later to become majestic.com. Now he's in inlinks.net, and it's one of the, well, you're big into artificial intelligence. It's one it's one of the applications that we're using in order to target the entities. Of course, we do entity-based worryless SEO. And what that means is simply, we don't worry about Google updates because we're doing everything that Google wants at the presentation area. So imagine having the perfect presentation card where you're coming in the door and that card gets you in to talk to the people in that business. It's what you're doing. That's your presentation. That's your website. If you do that correctly, Google is going to just roll out the red carpet for anyone coming to see your website. And they're going to send more and more people. And if you've set everything up right, these people will convert through ads, through organic means, and that conversion. I can't tell people how much it means right now, because Google is following everything until the end, and they're seeing a completion of that goal, that person trusting you enough to give you their information, to give you their phone number, to give you their credit card information, whatever it is, they're trusting. And if you can establish a pattern where people are trusting you, you become a trusted authoritative source in the niche. You're giving people that finding the information, they're interacting with your videos. I mean, this is all part of building out your entity. They find you in social media and they come to the website, or they go to other social media. A lot of people do that. They research the company, right? They'll come, they'll look at it on the web, they'll look at it through maps. We do so much. We built this, it took me longer than usual because I have this entity series planned out. It's ads, it's Dixon Jones talking about content and how entities apply in content and how you can manipulate that. Jordan is going to be talking about branding and entities. We're going to have Brian Caddo come in and talk about entities in images, which is like an often ignored part of SEO, or something that we just do as an aside, and you can get millions and millions of views into your images if you're doing it correctly. After that, we'll close it all up. We'll probably have like a think tank session. We might have people come in, ask questions. I haven't decided on the last one yet, but it's going to be all about entities. And all of that for the price of a donation.
Outstanding. Now, for someone who hasn't yet, where can they donate at, and what do they need to do?
The information is on the page. You go to the excuse me, the web page, the donation page. Make a donation. I'm not asking, you know that, right? Your heart will move you to donate. Your heart will tell you to donate, but your wallet is going to dictate how much. And so, I mean, we've had people donate $1. We've had people donate a couple of $1,000. And everywhere in the middle has been fantastic. And so I'm not going to limit you. I mean, you do what you can and what your heart moves you to do and what the wallet allows. The information is on the page. If not, then you just write to the Gmail. The Gmail address is also on the page, and you can get direction from there.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Marco. With that said, guys, I think we're ready to jump into questions. Anything else? All right, let's do it.
Okay, stand by. I'm trying to, yeah, I think I found something. I was looking for an answer to one of the questions, and I was doing some research. Anyway, let me find the damn screen, and I'll grab it. All right, tell me, you guys should be seeing my screen now, correct?
Good to go.
Yep.
All right, so the first question is from, looks like Hugo says, with our Gsite, is it better to create inner pages for our services or just have one page with all of the services on there with links to the corresponding pages on the money site? Also, would it be overkill to make location pages on the Gsite too? Or is the root page enough and then add internal links from there? Well, Hugo, it's, you know, we talk about theme mirroring. So however you have your primary site structured, which, you know, should be with silo structure if, you know, if necessary, but that's pretty much how you should be structuring your websites anyways. Then you want to theme mirror that, right? That's what we call theme mirroring. That was a term originally, I guess, invented or whatever from Network Empire, but it's a perfect description of what it is that we're doing. When we say theme mirroring, if you don't understand what that is, one of the things you could do is go check out the SEOshield.com. That's SEOshield.com. And you can go through that training, which will give you some insight as to what theme mirroring is and how to do it with your Gsite. Also, there's another resource that I can send you to that's free also, which is semanticmastery.com/process. If you go to the website section on there, because it's basically a process doc that talks about entity-based SEO and why we use all of the components that we do for the SEO Shield and what we teach at Semantic Mastery. And there's a website section in that process training that talks about theme mirroring and how to structure silos on your website and ultimately mirror those onto your Gsite and into your Drive stack. So the short answer is, you know, it's better to mirror your Gsite to mimic the structure of your primary website. So yes, it would be better to have separate pages for each one of your top level services, as long as it's, you know, a top level service that would have its own silo or category on your money site, if that makes sense. Marco, you want to comment on that?
No, I totally agree. We talk theme mirroring so much, but people get confused maybe, and they think Elementor and Divi rather than the theme that we're talking about, which is how your website is constructed, how the content on your website is constructed, how you've constructed the categories. That's the theme that we're talking about, because you're going to take those and you're going to move them to the Gsite as extensions. The branded stack is usually the same for everyone, but what's going to differ is when you order those extensions according to how you've set up your website. If you're local, this is where some complexity comes in, because you have to decide city pages, services, like how many cities are you going at, but what about states? Are you going to go after different states? How are you going to do this? Because you develop that on the website, how it is that you're going to target that. You have that plan. Please don't build out like this intricate mind map of how it is that you're going to build the website. Choose 3 categories, leave it that way, and see where Google leads you through analytics, Search Console, and insights in the GMB. Google will tell you. It's really interesting. If you use it correctly, people are being misled because they're being told that analytics and Search Console and insights are not accurate. They're not for the most part, but that's because the information could be backed up a little bit, but it's AI working in there. and it's AI talking about the impressions and where you're getting impressions, how you're getting impressions, the pages that are getting impressions, and how people are interacting with the pages that are getting impressions. There's a lot of valuable information in there. And so that's how you're going to start building out then any other category. According to the information that you're getting, you're going to copy into the Gsite extension. The GMB will be set up the same way. Your press release stacks will be built the same way. I'm not going to say how I'm doing press releases exactly. Bradley has an excellent course, right? Local PR Pro, follow that. And then behind that, it's, of course, always link building and embeds, and link building into your embeds. But the setup from the beginning, both at the content and the structure level, the theme level, is on the website, and also at the bot level, at the code level, your schema has to be tight, has to be correct. So you're just sending the messaging in code to the bot, and the messaging when the bot comes crawling your content, because it's going to look for entities also in the content. Again, watch this past Monday's replay which talks totally about content and entities and content.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so theme mirroring, we're talking about topical themes, guys. So we're not talking about a WordPress theme. We're talking about topical themes. So when you're theme mirroring, you're mirroring the topical structure of your site, your main site, onto your other assets, your other branded assets where possible. So that, and again, we can do that with the Gsite, the Drive Stack. You can do with press releases, GMB posts. I mean, and we try to mirror that same topical theme structure across all of those assets, because it kind of creates that mirror that picture-in-picture, like mirror image type thing that Marco talks about with iframe stacking. And again, I just wanted to point out where that is. If you go to that URL I shared, semanticmastery.com/process, it's free, guys. This is a process template. And if you go into the website tab here, you can scroll through, and I talk about simple silos, complex silos, physical versus virtual silos. Then I also talk about using tags for those of you doing local, which is what pretty much all I do. I use tag silos to create location-based silos instead of typical category structure. It works really, really well. It also eliminates some of the complexities or the the conflicts that occur if you try to use a traditional category silo structure on a WordPress site where you're sharing the same location silos across multiple topical categories, or vice versa, trying to share topical categories across location silos. It creates URL conflicts if you try to use all just the traditional category structure. So I talk about that and why I use tags and how I do it, at least on a conceptual level, in this Process Street doc here. Okay, so again, I would recommend you highly recommend that you go through this and you can learn about it. Okay, it's a good question though. So the next part of that was also, would it be overkill to make location pages on the Gsite too, or is the root page enough and then add internal links? Well, it's the same answer, right? It's the same answer. If you have location pages on your money site, then yes, you're going to want to also mirror those pages onto your Gsite. Now, I can't get into this here because this would be more advanced, but there's, if you're using category structure for topical silos, which is the way I do it. So like I deal only with contractors. So we talk about, when I say topical silos, meaning the products or services that a contractor would sell. In my case, it's services, right? So each top service or primary service that they sell you create your own category on a WordPress site for it. So that would be the topical themes, or the topical silos, I should say. But the location-based silos, I do that using tags. So when you get to a Gsite, obviously you can't do it that way. But with Gsites, you can get away with a lot of other things. You have to join the mastermind or heavy hitter club in order for us to get into that. But the short answer would be, for location pages, if you have them on your website, your primary site, then you're going to want to mirror those on the Gsite as well. Okay. So hopefully some of that training will shed some light on that for you. All right, so the next question is, when you recommend sending traffic via YouTube ads, do you use these for local businesses also? Yes, absolutely. I mean, again, that's pretty much all I do. I'm working on a national project now, but I mean, for the last several years, all I've done is local, and I love YouTube ads for local traffic. Well, and display ads too, but YouTube ads are working really, really well right now if you know how to do it. And I just talked about exactly how to do it on Marco's charity webinar.
Exactly. I mean, it's a course. I'm gonna cut that out and create my own ads course out of it. I'll sell it for $9.97. So it's less than $1,000. What a bargain.
Do you do a video ad or is a text ad okay? I mean, if you're doing YouTube ads, it's going to be a video ad. So I'm not sure what you mean by is a text ad okay. Now, you can do, by the way, you can do just text ads on YouTube through the Google Display Network, but they suck. Don't use text ads on YouTube through the Display Network, because what you end up getting, and trust me, ask me how I know. If I'm setting up a Google Display Network ad and I'm using responsive text ads to be run on the Display Network, which I do, I always go into exclusions and exclude youtube.com, right? So I make that as an excluded site so that none of my responsive text ads will show on youtube.com. And the reason why is you will get a ton of clicks that are probably from kids that are on their parents' iPad or iPhone or mobile phone or whatever, tablet or whatever, that are on YouTube watching like nursery rhyme videos and that kind of stuff, like children's videos. And because of the way that the text ads display on YouTube, they get clicked on really easy, and you will burn through budget with non-relevant clicks incredibly quickly. So don't do it. So when I'm talking about advertising on YouTube, I'm talking about video ads. Does that make sense? And yeah, that's really, really good. There's it works if you get, it's all about audience targeting, guys, or proper targeting. It doesn't have to be audiences. I found audience targeting to be the best. When you combine relevant audience targeting with geographic targeting, you can get, and you have to do testing. Again, I covered all of this in Marco's charity webinar last week, but you have to do testing to identify which audiences are the best. Google will tell you certain audiences or give you access to certain predefined audiences, but you still need to test because Google's not perfect. And sometimes their audiences aren't, by testing different audiences, you'll find, like, let's say you test 6 different audiences, you might find 2 that are working incredibly well and the other 4 are not working so well. So to stop using those other 4 and redirect all of your efforts into the 2 that are producing. So again, I would encourage you to go contribute to Marco's charity, and then you can get access to the replay where you'll get a lot more information about that. Okay. It's a good question. All right, next one is, how do I batch change EXIF data for photos? What is the best tool for that? Okay, I've always used, I'm gonna tell you 3 things. Number 1, I've always used geosetter.de, which is free. It's a desktop software. It's geosetter, I think it's .de. Yeah, that's it. You can download this. This is a desktop software, and you can essentially open up a folder full of images, and then you can batch edit the EXIF data for all the images in that folder. That's what I've always used. I've used it for years and years and years. Is this? It's free to download. In fact, that's what's sitting right there is Geosetter on the top of my computer up there, or my desktop, I should say. But now I'm using LocalViking because I'm using LocalViking for GMB post management and just kind of managing multiple GMBs. I'm testing with it. I just started testing with it about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they have a really cool EXIF editor, EXIF data editor within LocalViking, which works great because you can create EXIF data templates. And so whenever you upload an image, you can just select one of the templates and it will automatically fill in all of the data based upon the templates that you created. So that works really, really well. But an alternative to that, if you don't need a GMB management tool, and I have not used this one, but Mass Optimizer Pro, I know a lot of our members, Semantic Mastery, use this and swear by it. And this is a great tool because it image optimizing, video optimizing, and there's all kinds of really cool add-ons and things like that that Mass Optimizer has. And I know the developer behind this, you know, is good. He's solid. I think his name's Lloyd Farrell or something like that. But I know that he's really, really solid. We've got a lot of people that use this in our group. So I would also recommend this one, even though I can't speak for it personally. I've not used it. I know it's a good tool. Anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And not this coming Monday, because that's the branding bridge. Jordan Fowler talking about your brand and entities and how you should bridge that gap. But the following one with Brian Cato is all about manipulating images. And if you want to know what's best to use and how to use it, Brian's going to come on and give you guys a great presentation on just that, manipulating images. All it takes is a donation. Follow the information on the page, follow the instructions, send me, or sorry, my personal assistant, send her the proof of the webinar, or she'll be the one who answers and sends you all of the information so you can access not only that one, but all the previous charity webinar replays.
All right, next question is from Ed. He says, my site is getting lots of quality traffic since doing link building to my SEO Shield, a 45% spike so far. That's should be a good testimonial, guys. Okay, so my site is getting lots of quality traffic since doing link building to my SEO Shield, a 45% spike so far, but now I'm also seeing a spike in bot traffic. Yeah, there's no way around that. Wondering if anyone ever sees this, wondering if it matters, wondering if you guys might be able to offer an explanation and or any thoughts on bot traffic like this, what to be aware of, etc. Thanks. Yeah, well, it just goes to show you that the link building is working because it's causing a whole bunch of other bots to follow links to come find your site. And so, I mean, that's just proof in the pudding that it is working. There's not really anything that you can do about it. You can filter that out from like analytics reports by setting up filters. But I don't know that you can prevent that. Marco, what do you say?
Well, yeah, you can. Actually, this is what I'm currently using and what the developer is actually currently using. I dropped it at the bottom of the chat. We use GitHub, and they have an up-to-date list of bad bots. So all you have to do is copy and paste that into your htaccess file. That's constantly updated. For any time they find a bad bot, it goes on the list. It goes on the, so you see, there's plenty of bad bots. Those you need to block. They go on the htaccess. If you don't want that particular bot on your website, block it. htaccess. As a matter of fact, use a black hole. We use a black hole so that any bot not following the rules that we've set for it goes in the black hole and never gets out. Right? That means that they're in the trap, and now what you can do is ban that bot like forever. But it's that black hole plugin in WordPress is fantastic for getting rid of bots that do not follow your robots.txt rules.
There's a black hole plugin?
There's a black hole plugin. I don't know if it's called black hole, but yes, there is. We use it.
I'm afraid to start searching black hole plugin on a live webinar because
safe search it.
I'm not sure that, not safe for work type stuff is going to appear.
No, but it'll take you to WordPress.org.
So what is it called again? Black hole.
Black hole.
Is it all one word or what?
Let me try to. We don't have that many questions anyway. Black.
No, I'm just curious. I'd like to look into that. I forgot about like Spider Spanker and those type of bot blocker plugins and things like that. But you like to just use the htaccess. But the
black hole, one word, bad bots. It's the word here. I'll give you the URL in Slack if you can't find it.
Right there, black hole for bad bots.
That's it. Fantastic plugin. That in conjunction with your htaccess, use that htaccess with that list from GitHub. It's constantly updated, man. That's the great thing about it. Yeah, it does require a little bit of manual work, but it's well worth it because it'll save you a headache when those bad bots come crawling and start doing nasty stuff on your website.
Very cool. I learned something new today. I'm going to check it out, man. That's pretty cool. I like that. Thank you. So there you go. That was a great answer. All right, moving on. Next one. If I can find it. Okay. when you talk about mirroring, okay, Carissa says, when you talk about mirroring your money site content on your G site, do you copy paste the content or you iframing the content? Would either way work the same? I just iframe. So that's the thing. Okay. When I have a drive stack built by MGYB, you know, they create all the files and folders and all the stuff, and they find content that's relevant, and they add content to the pages that they create, as well as the embeds that they do with the files and folders. Once I get that back, I don't add any additional content. I add pages like crazy, right? And then I add the iframes, but typically my pages consist of nothing other than iframes that are relevant. So in other words, when I'm theme mirroring, right? So when I'm mirroring the topical theme and creating pages that correspond with pages on the money site, then I embed those money site pages into the G site, as well as, and I've talked about this before, but like, for example, if I've got a particular keyword that I'm trying to push and I need to add sub pages to the money page on the G site, where then, like, because remember on with what we teach, we talk about using the blog and the syndication network to add depth to a silo. So you publish supporting articles placed within the correct silo with internal linking done properly up to the money page in that silo, right? And those syndicate out across the syndication network. There's that money site, or excuse me, the money page link, right? The internal link to the money page that you're trying to rank that goes out across the syndication network profiles. So now you've got those published posts on the syndication network. So you can extract those URLs and then embed those into the G site pages, right? So that you're adding additional relevancy as well as additional properties, branded properties, entity, tier 1 entity properties into the G site. So you're creating all of that relevancy. It's like a big, black hole, never ending, mirror and mirror type image of all this relevancy specific to a particular keyword or keyword theme, right? So I don't add any additional content. The only thing that I would add other than the iframes from the relevant content for those theme mirrored pages is I will create an internal linking structure within the G site so that I'm linking, daisy chaining posts together and linking up to the proper. So it's the same sort of internal linking that I do on the money site, I do on the G site. So that's the only additional text that I add. I add a page header, iframes, and then links, internal links to, to accomplish the internal linking within the G site that I'm trying to do. Other than that, I don't add any other text. Not that you can't, I just don't, because the text is already on the pages that I'm iframing into the G site page. I just use the G site as basically a container, if that makes sense. Anybody want to comment on that?
It's perfectly fine to use your own content, copy paste away. John Mueller finally had to come out and say there's no such thing as a duplicate content penalty. It was a couple of days ago or yesterday, I can't remember when he said it. We've been saying it for years. No such thing as a duplicate content penalty. Use your content. You are not going to complain to yourself about your own content. The only time that you can get into problems with using content multiple times is if you're using somebody else's content and they come with a DMCA and tell you to take it down, or they're going to take you to court. If you use Getty images, they'll extort you. If you use somebody else's YouTube videos, it depends, right? As far as your content is concerned, copy and paste away, or just hire us to do the extension for you. We know what we're doing. We're going to do it right. And yes, we are going to use your content when we create that extension. Yeah. And we will use an iframe of the page, and we'll iframe whatever else we can on that extension page.
Okay, so BB is up with several questions. I would not expect anything else. He says, hey guys, does Google lower your rankings in the SERPs if you check your position for a keyword in your own device or in incognito window? Or does Google hide your page in the SERPs when you make a search from your own device? Okay, a couple of things. I don't know if Google, I can't imagine that they do. I know that I have to tell clients often to stop searching for keywords when I'm managing Google ads for them, because it creates impressions without a click-through, which lowers your click-through rate, which lowers your ad rank, right? Which in your overall quality score. So, but as far as SEO, I don't know. Maybe Marco can answer that.
Well, as far as SEO, the same thing happens. Impressions increase, but there aren't any click-throughs. And if there are any click-throughs, there won't be the final goal that Google is looking for, because it's you looking through your own website, and that doesn't carry the same value. It never does. I mean, unless but it takes so much intricate work to go into your own stuff and to set a goal and to complete the goal, to pay yourself. I mean, you'd have to get a whole different credit card and use it from a different IP. There's just so much involved in that. You're better off just getting a Craigslist gig and pay some college students $25 each to do that. Going back to what you said, it doesn't make sense. Why would you? Why would you, if you can just go into the historical data and analytics, Search Console, and GMB Insights and get any information that you need? Other than, if you do it once in a while just to check one keyword that you're really keen on ranking. But I mean, I wouldn't. Why would, BB, you're always asking questions of these theoretical questions, whether Google would lower your rankings, and we can't know whether Google would lower your rankings. I can tell you that the impressions will increase, the CTR, click-through rate, will decrease, and then the effect of that could mean lower rankings, but not because you went and searched, but the effect that search had on your overall numbers.
Yeah. So and it's funny because BB does ask a lot of these theoretical questions all the time. It's kind of fun, actually. Anyways, so the other thing was, he was asking, when you make a search from your own device, does Google hide your own website from the SERP? Well, it can if you go to google.com, in the bottom right corner, you'll see where it says search or settings. If you click that, it expands a menu. Click on search settings and make sure that you have do not use private results selected. Because if you have used private results, then what happens is, yes, Google will start to customize search results based upon your behavior from previous searches for the same query. Does that make sense? So in other words, if you have private results turned on, which I think is by default, but it's by default that it's turned on. Now, if you're in an incognito window, it shouldn't matter because it should always be private results. That's kind of the whole point of an incognito window. But if you're searching from a logged in account and it's got use private results turned on, which again, I think is the default setting, then if you are searching a query multiple times and you're scrolling through results and you're clicking on other results, but not clicking on the result, your project or your website, then Google learns that particular result isn't relevant to you. Hence which is, why you never click on it. Google determines that that's not relevant to you. So it will start to, not show that result to you because you're scrolling and clicking on other results, but never on that one, if that makes sense. So yes, I've seen that happen where if you've got I've had clients contact me and say, I'm doing searches for, this keyword and I'm not seeing my website ranked anywhere. And I say, are you searching logged in? It's because Google it's because you probably searched that multiple times and didn't click through. And because of that, Google is hiding it from you because it's determined it's a non-relevant result for you. If you go into an incognito window or Firefox or something else that you're not logged into, do that search. And then I've had the clients contact me back and say, oh, I see it now. Thank you. So it's just a matter of, again, I don't know that that's what you're talking about, BB, but I know that, again, I've had clients reach out to me and say, I'm not seeing my own website for this search. Especially like after I send them a monthly report, that's typically when I will get that kind of a question from a client is they'll be like, well, I'm seeing the report saying that we're ranked for this, this, and this, and I'm not seeing it when I do a search. And then I say, well, are you logged in? Do you have, if you do it in an incognito window, you'll probably see it. And then, generally they see it. So again, I would check that. Again, that's just a search, google.com, check the bottom right corner for settings, click on search settings and turn that off. But if you're using an incognito window, you shouldn't see it anyways. Anything else you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. Number one, same question as number one, but multiple search requests on the same device.
Same answer.
Same answer. Same answer. Have you ever tried and succeeded in making money with Gsite RYS with affiliate offers without backlinks, PRs, and embeds? Oh, we've made money from
Yeah.
RYS stuff. I mean, I used to do affiliate stuff. We did a lot of launch jacking for about a year and a half, and I had VAs that would build drive stacks around products that were being launched. And we did quite well off that. But the reason why, and actually just had a couple of new mastermind members join, and I had a call with them, as we always do. We have onboarding calls with new members, and they're in the affiliate marketing space, and they were doing a lot of launch jacking too. And so we had a discussion about that. And part of the reason I got away from that is because it's like a never-ending hamster wheel, right? You constantly have to be building for new product launches, and they have a very short lifespan that they typically produce affiliate revenue, and it's usually just during the launch period. And so it's just, it's like, it's rework. It's a lot of rework, a lot of constantly building. And I like building assets that produce long-term. But yes, you can absolutely do it now without, again, when it comes to like a launch jack, because there's not, at least initially, there's not a whole lot of competing, SEO, a lot of people competing in the SEO space for that product name, then Gstacks, Gsites and drive stacks can work really well. But, if you want to get best results from them, then link building is obviously it's going to help. At least that's been my experience. So what do you say, Mark?
Link building, it's a must now. It's a must. You're just not going to build up the activity, relevance, trust, and authority that you need to rank at the time that you need it to rank. You're going to have to be building it up over time. Remember Jason Quinlan, when he was doing the shiny object reviews, how he used to just jack everything? But that's because he started out and he built on that shiny object reviews website, where it became like one of the authoritative websites in that niche, in the affiliate niche, in the launch jacking niche, because he not only did our stuff, he not only used to jack our stuff, but everybody else's stuff. He'd be right there, ranking top 3.
Yeah, he would launch jack our own launches and beat us out.
Yeah, which was fantastic, because he's just making us money. But what I'm saying is, you have to build up to that. Like, we used to be able to rank an empty folder. We showed that live, right? Remember that? Within less than a minute, we ranked an empty folder. Those days are gone. The algorithm works differently, so we have to apply different methods. This isn't a static or monolithic niche or market that we're in. The SEO space is very fluid, because there's AI in it. The algorithms are constantly getting information, and so we need to be able to adapt to how it's working now. RYS, what we've done is it has become an integral part of building out the entity and giving the entity the trust and authority that it needs, so that it can start ranking. But without the linking, and without the iframe embeds, and without press releases, especially with a launch jack, you set up that press release like just before the launch, and like right during the launch, so that you get in front of everybody. Once you have the trust and authority, you're going to see how it becomes progressively easier to rank for subsequent launches. That's how Jason Quinlan used to do it, and I'm sure it's alive and well right now. It's just not something that we do, because there's lots more money elsewhere.
Yeah, and that's kind of in that discussion I had last week with our new mastermind members. We were talking about that. I said, if you want to do affiliate marketing and launch jacking, then I recommend, see where we made a mistake. My team that was, it was two VAs that were doing it full time for many months at least. Anyway, my mistake was we were just building SEO assets targeting the product name alone. That's it. So they were standalone or orphaned assets. We never built authority to them. And what I said was last week when I was talking to the new mastermind members was like, if you want to do launch jacking, then I recommend you build a brand, exactly what Marco was just talking about, because over time that brand will accrue authority and become an entity and a trust, it will become powerful to where at some point you'll get to a point where you can, create a a subfolder, right? So basically a silo for a new product that you're launch stacking, and it will rank because of all of the benefit that it's getting from all of the authority built to that brand itself, the branded drive stack and Gsite. So my point is, if you want to do launch stacking, then drive stacks can be incredibly powerful once you build power to them, so that when you add additional expansions, right, additional basically silos or categories, products, services, whatever you want to do, then they'll benefit instantly from the power already accrued, if that makes sense. So I don't know that, again, I haven't done this in a long time, but I don't think creating a Gsite and drive stack for a product without any backlinks or anything would do much of anything right now. I don't. It's not like they were 5 years ago, right? You have to power them up, but the amount of power that you can push into them is incredible, which is what we've been proving for years now. Any other comments you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. Aaron's up. He says, question about GMB posts. Some automated services like LocalViking include previous posts linked to the post immediately preceding the current post. Is this okay? Or are you recommending specific links to preceding posts? Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm going to show you how my team and I, I've taught my team to do it manually, and I'll show you why in just a moment, explain why. But no, that's fine. That works. I prefer to do it manually because we have a lot more control over just some of the stuff Marco's teaching. I can't get into specifically what it is, but it's some of the stuff Marco's teaching. What you can do with GMB is crazy. But here's what I was getting at. Like here, I just went to Semantic Mastery's GMB site, guys. The URLs that come from the posts URLs themselves, they'll take you to like the SERP version of the URL, right? Which is like a really, really long, ugly URL. And I know you can use the previous post in those posting apps, and that's fine. You can do that. Okay. It's definitely easier. It does provide some benefit if you're siloing your posts correctly. But what I prefer to do is my VAs go in and she manually creates the silos with GMB posts. And if let's say that these two posts were going to be siloed together, then what she'll do is when she goes in to publish this post, which would link to this post, she's going to link to this URL here, that one right there, because that's like an inner page on the GMB website as opposed to just the post URL. And that's the way that we do it. I don't know if Marco wants to comment, what Marco wants to say about this, but the way that we do it is manually now, and by actually extracting the previous post URL, like the inner page URL, basically. And that's the way that we do it. What do you say, Marco?
That's as far as that's going to go, because if they want more information on how to do this, it's local GMB Pro and then the heavy hitter club. And then you can just manipulate the crap out of GMBs to the point where Google does whatever you want Google to do.
There you go. So yeah, again, you can use the like previous post function. We did that for a long time, and you can absolutely get a benefit from it, but you can get more benefit by using the inner page URL from the GMB website. And so it's, in my opinion, it's worth the extra effort to do that manually. If you know what you're doing, you can push a lot of power that way. So, okay. If I'm setting this up manually, which link do I use? The link to yeah, I just showed you. Okay. So that's good. Wayne is making another comment as usual. Let's see, where are we at? Aaron, another GMB post question. Did I miss something?
No, I'm calling Wayne a spammer.
Oh. Yeah, it's funny because sometimes Wayne will be on a mastermind webinar and he'll make a comment and I'll just assume it's a smart ass comment when he was being 100% genuine or sincere. And then I'll realize later that he was actually being sincere, but it's hard to tell when the boy that cries woof all the time, it's hard to tell whether he's being serious or not. Anyway, Aaron says, another GMB post question. Do you recommend having just one link to a money site per page? Or should the post have as many links as possible to a money site page and other assets? This is a heavy hitter question. I understand. Thanks. Well, just remember this. You can put links in the text part of the text body of the post, but those are all no follow links. Doesn't mean that they can't help, but the only place that there's a do follow link is the button URL, right? So the link that you add to the CTA button, that's the do follow. So it's only one do follow link per post, no matter how many links you put in the text part of the post. And here's the other thing I would recommend. I've noticed with GMB posts lately, if we include NAP data, so name, address, phone number, then Google will often reject those posts. And I'm not sure why they do that, but if we try to publish a post that has the name, address, and phone number in there, and it rejects it, if I just pull the phone number off, for example, a lot of the times I repost the same exact post and do nothing else but pull the phone number out of the post itself, it will accept it. And I don't know why that is. I'm just assuming that Google wants people to interact with the GMB posts instead of calling. I don't know what the reason for that is, but I've noticed that a lot lately. We've had a lot of rejected posts because a lot of the post templates that I was using would automatically include the NAP as part of the call to action. But we've had to go back and kind of edit a lot of those templates to remove that because we were getting a lot of rejected posts, and now they're not being rejected. So why I told you that is because I would not recommend putting a whole bunch of text links in the text body of the post because it looks spammy, right? And you only get 1,500 characters in a GMB post anyway. So why would you want to fill that up with a bunch of URLs if they're all no follow links? That's my opinion. You get one powerful link from the button. So what I like to do is a text link in the text body to the previous post, to silo posts. And if I'm siloing posts and trying to push from the button URL power to something specific, but most of the time I'm using the button URL to link to the previous post, if that makes sense. And that's about as far as I can go with that. Marco, what do you want to say about it?
All of this with how many gets into why, and the why is only shared in heavy hitter. Sometimes in the Semantic Mastery Mastermind, it's in the paid groups. I'm not going to get into it here. There's people paying a lot of money for that information, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I use the button. The button URL you want to think about, that's your most powerful link within the GMB post. So use that strategically, right? But you can link from within the GMB post to other assets. And typically I'll just link to another, tier one entity asset, basically, within the text part of the post. And that's good for navigation for the user. But for SEO, the button link is the one that you want to focus on. Okay. Brian says, keep it simple, stupid. You're damn right. Next question. We have a stack targeting only one state. What if we want to rank in all states of US? You were actually answering this question in Facebook, weren't you, Marco?
I believe I was. Yeah.
I sworn I saw this thread also on Facebook.
Yeah.
But, okay, let me finish the question. We have a stack targeting only one state. What if we want to rank in all states of USA? Please explain deeply.
Yeah, no, not in Hump Day, but yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's funny because Wayne was actually asking about this in Mastermind too. But this is what I would recommend, and this is again, it's going to be very high level. But if at MGYB, right, that's where you can order the drive stack expansions, right? That's how I would do it. I would create a separate drive stack expansion or drive expansion, whatever you want to call it, for every state. That's how I would do it. So I know that's a big undertaking, but if you're asking how I would do it, I would have a separate expansion built into my branded stack for each state. And then you could, if you're theme mirroring on like a complex silo structure within each state drive stack expansion, you could break it down even further into counties or regions, or regions or counties, and all the way down ultimately to a city level. So I mean, it can get huge and massive, but that's the way I would do it if I was going to do it. Okay.
Well, it's a mass page build, right?
Yes.
But it has to be done manually because the new Gsites don't accept scripts. Well, at least not yet. We're constantly looking to see if scripting will ever be opened again into the Gsite. We have our own way. We have our own way of making it work, which we're not going to give away because it costs a lot of money for us to develop that. But having said that, you would build. So this is why it pays off to have a brand. Because if you have one stack that's targeting one state and it's not branded, then you're already like geo-limited. Now, if you put that stack into a branded stack. Now you have the first state in that branded stack, you have the first extension, and all you would have to do is copy whatever you did in that stack into all of the subsequent stacks for every subsequent state. And you would develop a page for each of the state stacks. If you want to go even deeper, in each state stack, you could then develop a city-specific drive stack so that then you could break down the states into the major cities in that state. And then I guarantee you that by the time you start building out those city pages in each of those states, you are going to be ranking just like when you pop that folder in there, whether you get any traffic. Now, here's the problem with doing that. You're obviously going after something that's geo-targeted, where a 3-pack will probably be dominating most of the traffic. So maybe when you expand in all 50 states, you'll get enough traffic where it won't matter that you're targeting something that's mostly local. You'll generate enough traffic organically through that by ranking maybe top 5 organically. But if it's dominated by that map pack and the ads and everything else that you're running into, you're going to spend a whole lot of time, maybe a whole lot of money, and maybe not see a return for the massive investment that you have to make, whether it's money and whether it's sweat equity.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is, and it just something you said triggered this for me, Marco. But you know, here's just an example. What I'm doing a lot of organic stuff right now. I'm working on a national project right now, which I'll be sharing in the mastermind when it's appropriate. It's not yet, but so I'm going to be doing something similar to what we just described. But what Marco was talking about, you know, with the maps pack and the ads and everything, it's crazy. But what I'm seeing now, I mean, not that this is new, but it seems like organic's getting pushed further and further. In this case, it's not popping, but in a lot of the times you'll see the carousel ads, like the Google guarantee ads at the top, then paid ads, then the map. And you literally got to scroll way below the fold to even get to the first organic listing. It's crazy. And why is that? Because Google's pushing more and more paid. Even a lot, you see, that's the paid position in the maps pack. And then, like I said, the carousel, it keeps pushing the organic rankings further and further down. So it's crazy. Anyway, scripts for stacks are no longer working. What is the alternative way of doing that? We don't have one yet. Is that right?
I mean, we do. That's how we create drive stacks and Gsite now in the extensions. We have our own. We're not going to give that away.
Okay, there you go. Can we copy images and content from Google and directly put into our stack without any modification? I wouldn't recommend that. Personally, I've had, from copying images in the past years ago, you know, I've gotten hit with extortion letters where I had to pay so that they didn't sue me for copyright infringement. so I've had to do that. And I've learned a long time ago, I don't just copy images ever. I go buy stock photos if I need to, or as we've talked about many times before, YouTube is great for getting images, guys, because you just go find a video that's relevant and just, you know, set it on an HD setting, pause the video at a frame that you want to take a screenshot of, and that becomes a photo. Those work great. And I use a lot of YouTube photos, like photos that I take from YouTube videos for stuff, but I don't like to use copied images ever. Period. Anybody else want to comment on that?
So imagine at 30 frames per second, how many images you could get out of a 5-minute video.
Yeah.
Yeah, some will be blurry or whatever, but imagine how many you can get out of a video. People are doing you a big favor by creating YouTube video content that you can then turn into images.
Yeah, and here's a trick for that. If you go search your keyword in YouTube, then use the filters for the results. Once the results come up, use the filters and switch it to HD only. And then so that'll remove all the videos that, you know, don't have HD of at least, I think, 720p. And I always switch it to like 1080p or whatever if available. And then use, what do they call it? The premiere mode or whatever, where theater mode or whatever, where it expands and makes the video bigger. Once you make it bigger, take your screenshot, and then when you shrink the file, because if it's blurry, and once you shrink it down, it becomes less blurry. right? When you make it more to a usable size that you're going to use in a blog post or a GMB post or something like that, when you make the screen smaller, it becomes sharper, right? Does that make sense? So that's just the way I do it, and it works really, really well. I never have a shortage of images, is what I'm saying. I've heard that we cannot put moneysite link into our stack anymore. Is that true? I don't know where you heard that.
Yeah, I don't know. Any other questions about RYS Academy, you're welcome to ask it in the group. We have a Facebook group for people who have paid for the training.
Yeah. That's funny. Look at that username.
Oh, you can say it. Homosexual. That's
just funny.
It's cool. I got no problem with that. Let's go. Let's go. What does he want?
I barely solved CAPTCHA. What's up, guys? All right. Robert says, I've already subscribed and watched Local GMB and PR Pro. Will you have version 2 of these tutorials, or has Google made minimal updates to GMB? I mean, there's no reason to redo stuff if the foundation hasn't, like, the principle hasn't changed. The GMB dashboard really hasn't even changed. There might be some additional services and things like that, or things that you can edit within GMB, but what we teach on how to manipulate Google My Business, that hasn't changed. Not a bit. So, if like the dashboard was to change significantly, or there was some significant new things that needed to be addressed, then yeah, of course. And we just update what's already there, because again, the foundational part of the training hasn't changed. The fundamentals haven't changed. That's what I'm saying. Okay. What about OneDrive? Don't think you can replicate there as well. Yeah. I mean, as Marco always says, why? If we can do everything that we want to do by manipulating Google's own properties, why bother? I know that several people over the last few weeks have talked about starting to experiment with OneDrive. By all means, do it. Experiment.
Yeah. Let us know.
Does Google redirect with step pass? Does Google redirect with step past real page rank? It's a do follow link, isn't it?
It depends on the redirect.
He's talking about with the redirect page in between.
That's fine.
Yeah. About 50% of it gets passed, right?
Yeah, somewhere
close.
Less than 100.
Yeah.
Probably greater than 85, but there's 2 links on there. So it's probably around 50 that's passing, maybe less.
Is MGYB offering Google account verification, or is that no longer possible? No, I don't think that's been possible.
No, not right now. Right? No, it's not impossible. It's happening. You get into a lot of problems. We're trying to fix it. And if we ever do it, we'll open it. And if not, then sorry, because it's Google. And it's just spamming Google and taking advantage. And they try to close it up and we try to get in. And it's a cat and mouse that it's just too much of a headache. And we end up refunding a whole lot of money every time we open it up.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being